And I didn't ever stop my compounding. It was always around content and writing. Okay? I pivoted from ghostwriting to email to growth operating to content. Okay? Don't ever pivot outside of your compounding. Like literally ever. Like not even until you're like 50 billion years old. Okay? When to double down, when to press the gas, when to work 70, 80 hours a week. I'm going to say something controversial. You need to do that until you get out of your survival mode. Okay, for me it was $5,000. I had $5,000. If I can make $5,000 a month, my bills were covered. It was really low. Okay, I live in Omaha, Nebraska. Cost of living is low. It would cover me, my daughter, my wife. It would be tight. But I had to sprint that bitch. Okay, I had to go so hard to get there. And then you take a short rest, 2 to 3 months, and you think about where your next goal is, and then you double down again. You press the gas, and you just keep doing this over and over again. It's feast and famine, feast and famine, feast and famine, okay? Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, work, rest. You can't quite do it all in one time, but on the rise, you can't let off the gas. On the rise, you cannot let off the gas. There's a guy named Michael Ovitz, who's one of the greatest directors of all time, and he said in an interview recently, like, hey, if you could do it again, would you have worked less? And he said, yes, I would have worked 20 to 30% less, except when I was on the rise. Except when I was on the rise. And, I made a post about this. I didn't work out for about 16 to 18 months because every single hour mattered for me to learn my skill, build my business. And people were like, oh, you're gonna die, all these different things. Like, that is fine. My goal was finances at that time. And now I'm able to go back and care for my body. And now I'm actually able to afford, I've tripled my grocery budget. Okay, I made $40,000 a month, and the only thing that's changed is I bought a pair of golf clubs, or a set of golf clubs, and I have tripled my grocery budget. Literally the only two things that have changed. I still drive a 2005 Lexus, okay? Look at that window, okay? Look at these ceilings. Okay? You see where I'm coming from? You can do that later. Yeah. When to quit? Never. When to pivot? As long as you don't break your compounding. When to double down? Whenever you're on the rise. I would say until you hit 10K, take a break, and then shoot forward to 40K.
There is nothing wrong with asking for help as a grown adult. I don't care how many years of experience you have. It does not matter. If you need help or if you feel like you're at a crossroad, you feel confused, it is okay to ask for help. Will everybody necessarily help for you, or will everybody essentially give you advice that will propel you to the next stage? Not everybody will. But when I was making content on a separate page, I was making videos the same exact way for so long, until somebody voluntarily came out and said, yo, I'm gonna be honest, you talk too much in the intros of your videos. And I looked at him and I'm like, hey, yo, why bro just took a diss at what I gotta say? But then I stopped and I realized, no, he's just trying to help me. And he said, yo, that thing you just said, compress that into less than 2 sentences. So I'm like, okay. I gave it a try. I actually tried it and I showed him. I was like, all right, this is me making that intro, but shortening it up. And he said, wow, that is much better. And I'm like, huh, really? So then I kept trying that over and over and over and over. And I really started seeing that I was able to explain a drastically complicated concept in like 2 sentences. And I say drastically complicated, I'm being sarcastic, aka the damn video. I was able to explain the video topic in like 1 to 2 sentences, realistically 1 short sentence. But now imagine I asked somebody for help. I think to this day, if I just asked somebody for help a few months earlier, maybe I would have got that piece of advice sooner. Maybe I'd be in a better position. Who knows? But there's too many of us that end up in these terrible situations or are outputting mediocre results. And the last thing we want to do is ask for help because we think, oh, I know what I'm doing. Are you sure you know what you're doing? Because if you did know what you're doing, results would show. The way to grow in any business, and this includes content creation, is to essentially find the gaps and fill in the gaps. What do I mean by this? Say you love watching videos in like a cooking niche, for example. But let's say, for example, you haven't necessarily found anybody who makes content testing out a certain recipe, or attempting to make a certain type of food. And let's say, even if it doesn't necessarily fall through, the fact that you attempted to do that means a lot, because what you did is you said, hey, I wonder why no one has tried this. Do you think you're the only person with that same original idea? There's a lot of people with that exact idea, but either A, they don't comment it, because let's say they just don't comment on videos, or two, they are a content creator, thought about doing it, never acted upon it. But if you come out and you say, hey, this gap needs to be filled, let me attempt to do this, either A, you succeed, and now everybody starts to copy off of what you do, and now you're almost a trendsetter essentially, or two, people salute you for trying and go, man, I saw this video and I'm like, man, I wondered why no one tried this or why no one's attempted this. I'm so glad you did. That's all realistically you could do. It's either you try, fail, and people salute you for it, or you try, become a trendsetter, and now everybody knows you for doing this one particular thing. Kapoof! Many people say you should have a call to action or a CTA at the end of your videos, but your call to action can almost be your hook. Like, you can start a video by saying, what do you guys think about XYZ? Let me know in the comments. If the entirety of that video is based on a comparison between one or two things, or asking an audience what their personal preference is, or trying to say the best of this, your favorite that, whatever the case is. I'll give a great example of this. I like colognes. I do. I have a shit ton of bottles of colognes. So you could start a video off by saying, what would you guys say is your favorite fragrance to wear? You can start the video by saying that, and then dive into it saying, or I essentially dive deeper. Say, what kind of fragrances do you like? Do you like vanilla fragrances? Do you like fresh and clean fragrances, leather fragrances, oud fragrances? You could go in depth with that. Or let's say, hey, what is your guys' favorite video game? Go in depth. What kind of games do you like? Then you sort of dive in to say, hey, this is my favorite game, and for this reason. Because I guarantee you, someone out there is going to like that game too. Someone out there is a gamer and has played damn near everything. Or let's say somebody has some sentimental memory with that particular game and they like it just as much as you do. Do understand that you can almost capitalize on that. That literally could be the video. A question as a hook. That's it. But essentially it could be like a CTA that would have been at the end of the video, but it almost functions better because it's thought-provoking, relatable, and you're almost baiting engagement by getting the input of your viewers to be placed in the comment section of the video. Genius. The setting of your video needs to match the niche in which you make content in. So say, for example, you're somebody who makes, I don't know, gym content. It would be nice to hear you talking or explaining a certain concept mic'd up in a gym on a squat rack, for example. That would make more sense because I'm just more inclined to listen to you. But whenever somebody's giving gym advice from like a bathroom, it's a little